Hey everyone, welcome to another rousing edition of the Orita Podcast. I'm here with Jennifer and Avani, who I've met you each in the last year, but I've seen you each probably more than I've seen my non-immediate family at conferences or Series B announcements for Vermont Jennifer, where we met the first time, or something
Right.
else. I'm so excited to have you both. You're so sharp, have both been in commerce for a while and have such distinct insights, but also know each other well. And so I kind of want to get out of the way and have you introduce yourselves. For those who don't know me, I'm Aaron Schwartz, one of the founders of Orita. We do AI segmentation for a bunch of Klaviyo's largest brands. We also now have an ads product, which is going to be cool, but I don't have anything great to say, so I'll keep that quiet. But I'd love for you to give proper intros to yourself. Jennifer, you're first, please.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Peters. I'm the Director of DTC Marketing Technology and Digital Compliance at Olly. We're a supplement company that was acquired by Unilever in 2019, and I kind of do all the stuff that nobody else wanted to do. I'll just push together one job.
Give me a little bit more than that. What are the things that you're working on? But also, give us a little bit more about your background, because it's super impressive, and
Sure,
you
yeah,
touch a lot of
sure.
parts of the stack.
I am a Shopify developer, so that helps a lot. I'm very pro Shopify. I spent a lot of time also replatforming a lot of brands off of legacy platforms onto Shopify. I'm pretty, I would say Shopify and I are in a pretty committed relationship. But we do a lot of different things at Olly. We are a CPG brand at the end of the day. So most of our revenue is still coming from brick and mortar and retail. So makes loyalty really challenging. And that's been the biggest project that we've been working on for the last year and a half, is really how do you bring in those customers that live out in retail stores and the Targets and the Walmarts and the groceries and the drug into your loyalty program, and make them feel the same connection to the brand that your digital customers have.
All right, we're going to double click on loyalty. I do want to spend some time on the Shopify ecosystem and what it's like to build in there now, and kind of your background. But Avni, would love for you to do a proper intro to yourself, please.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a dream. I don't see you guys enough in person. So let's get on a podcast together. Thanks, Aaron, for having us. I'm Avani Oswal. I'm the head of digital at an emerging shoe brand called Elizée. They're Italian-made heels sold online. Kind of in the same factory as Jimmy Choo and Valentino, so really high craftsmanship. So excited to talk about how to build a brand from the ground up in the luxury space. My prior background has been all over. I started off in Macy's doing strategy and innovation there, then was at Ipsy leading e-commerce, and had another stint doing biz ops for GameTime, ticketing platform. So I've moved around quite a bit. So super excited now to be back in a very emerging brand where I get to wear a lot of hats. So I oversee obviously all things digital, but also forecasting, planning, and everything from that to acquisition and CRO optimization stuff.
Can you tell us for a minute a little bit about Catalyst, where it started, what it is, and then we'll kind of dive in. But I think that's such an interesting part of your CV.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that. So that's a huge part as well. Catalyst really started during the pandemic, when I moved from New York back to the Bay Area, where all my jobs were remote for, so many years. So I was just missing the community of being able to talk to peers and other retailer and brand folks. So I started doing dinners locally, but now it's grown to something bigger where it's a community across the US where we get together, whether it's during conferences or even outside of conferences in different cities, to come together around fun events and exchange ideas. So that's a lot of it. And then it is also, because being in the Bay Area, I have a lot of tech founder friends. There's also the advisory piece where I consult tech companies on how to approach this new ecosystem of retail and brand that they might not be as familiar with as they think about product positioning and go to market.
If I'm in a brand, what makes me a good member for Catalyst? Is it its founders or VPs and above? Is it a big brand, a scaling brand? Who should consider joining the community?
Yeah, usually we have directors and above as kind of where the mass sits. Everything from directors all the way to the C-suite. Really, you just need to be a curious person to be a part of Catalyst, which in general, we're lucky. Commerce has such curious, fun, intelligent people. So I think we were all just at Shop Talk, and I was just wow, this is the best community and job. We get to go to a Neo concert. So all that to say is like, as long as you're curious and willing to learn, which like right now in this day and age of AI, more than ever, everyone is like, we're all lost. No one knows the answer and we're just learning from each other. So now is the perfect time to join if you are a curious person.
I love it. Jennifer, you know everything about AI. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hold on. So I actually want to go through because when I met you, I thought it was so fascinating that you're a Shopify developer who then ended up kind of being at such an incredible brand. When did you start being a Shopify developer? Like, how'd you do that? And then I'm curious about that transition.
Yeah, I spent almost 10 years in the church supply business, which sounds really super boring, but it's actually a huge business, much bigger than you'd think. And we had a homegrown platform that was like an absolute living nightmare. And I spent a long time there working with the dev team and trying to make it better. I mean, really just like 10 very frustrating years of like the most stereotypical developers you could imagine in your mind of like these guys that have always done it the same way. They only know .NET, like very frustrating. So when I left there, I decided I was going to teach myself how to be a developer so that I never had to rely on other people again. And hear the story of like, that's a 6-week project when you know it really only takes 2 hours. So that was really kind of where that came from. I came out to San Francisco, I guess about 7 years ago, spent some time kind of like really developing those skills and then went to work in an agency where that's all I did was replatform stores and build new Shopify stores for brands, mostly food brands.
And then how did you end up at Olly? Was that like something you were looking for? Or they just pull you in?
They pulled me in, but the thing about being at an agency is that you can learn so much so fast. Like it's incredible the amount of brands you work with, the kinds of challenges they all have, how different they are. You can learn so much so fast, but agency life is rough. And I was in a position where I felt like I was, really partnering really closely with these brands, with these like really dynamic founders and a lot of passion and building the store that they wanted. And then I would kind of have to hand the keys over to account management. And then, after like doing that like 15, 20 times, I had the last customer that I had that just broke my heart when I had to let her go to someone else. I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go to a brand. I don't think I can continue doing this. I'm getting too attached. It's like fostering a dog, like I can't, this is not for me. I have to go to my own brand.
I love it. And then Avani, you left us. You went to GameTime for a little bit, right? And then you came back to commerce. What was the decision to leave? And then I'm curious, like what brought you back and also like what you learned from not being in this like very, very narrow ecosystem that you've been able to bring in.
Yeah. That was definitely a change. But I think it was still in the consumer facing, like things I use. So even though it was just like a digital product, obviously the tickets are like sent via like barcodes, no physical product being shipped. It was still very close because I wanted to feel like it's a product I use personally. I say that because prior to my career in retail, I was in finance and consulting at EY for years before getting my MBA and switching to a totally different career. It's still consumer products, but yes, I missed the tangible, like a problem of like getting the product to a consumer and like what that feels like the shipment logistics and stuff. But it was a fun industry. I learned a lot about sports and it was definitely great. I got to go to a lot of concerts while I was there too. So it's still fun.
Love it. I started my career, I was consulting, but then I ran a brand, which is what got me into commerce. And every time I'm like, oh, I really miss running a brand. And then I like think about just how painful every other aspect of it is. But there's something special about that direct connection, right? Obviously with the end consumer. I still have like random memories of sitting at the post office in downtown Berkeley, like the North Berkeley station for literally before Christmas, like taking up one of the tills for 6 hours. And I was just sitting there and it was unbelievable. So anyway, we've all been there. It's good. I want to dovetail in how you guys are building today and how you think about the ecosystem. But before I do, I am curious because you both obviously know MarTech very well. I'm curious, and Jennifer, you kind of already mentioned loyalty. Have the problems that you're trying to solve on the customer journey been changing over the last couple of years, or is it more just like same problems and we just have new tooling? I'm curious. Like, yeah, I don't know if like the playing field has changed at all for you. Jennifer, why don't I start with you, and then
Sure.
you've seen a bunch of brands from the side as well. So.
I feel like the last 6 weeks it's changed a lot, honestly. I mean, I feel like suddenly, even if you were running a direct to consumer store, all of a sudden it's not just a store. Now it's the peak area of discoverability for your entire brand by LLMs. So having to kind of rebuild all of this infrastructure around being discoverable, regardless of what channel your customers are shopping in, is super exciting. I mean, being at a brand where D2C is not a huge part of the business, it kind of gave us like a whole new purpose and a whole new sense of importance and like, I mean, in some ways, a lot of pressure. But for us to be able to say now, our goal is to bring customers into the brand and then they can choose whatever channel they shop in and we don't care. We're happy to get them in whatever channel they want to go to is really pretty exciting. And the tactics are not wildly different, honestly, than just doing good SEO right now, but it's going to change really quickly and it's going to keep it very interesting. I mean, there are some things that, like you mentioned earlier, yes, I know everything about AI. I mean, Avani and I went to the Retail Club AI conference last fall and walked away just being like, okay, nobody knows anything. This is awesome. Okay, good to know. Feeling better about myself. There's just so much unknown. I think it's going to continue to change so fast. And that to me is like one of the most exciting parts of this business is just kind of like riding that wave of getting out ahead of things, but also not overcommitting to anything because you don't really know if that's going to end up being important or not. So that's the big difference.
And the last time we talked, you actually said the Retail Club event was awesome. So I love that part of it was like,
awesome.
it was an awesome group, but everybody's kind of uncovering it. Avani, what about you? What's your take? Has the problem set changed? Or obviously you see this as well from your own experience, but also through Catalyst. Yeah, what's your perception right now?
Yeah, no, the problem is definitely not changed. I think a lot of it is the same as before. I think what's new, especially being at an emerging brand, I think we have kind of the leeway to catch up or accelerate our growth faster because the playing field has been a little more leveled, even if you're an incumbent, especially like, well-known brands that are both physical and in the physical retail and D2C. So as a D2C brand at a high price point entering or kind of like trying to get us recognized or build trust with the audience, I think it helps with our growth. So I think we're seeing this AI boom as like an opportunity for us to catch up faster because we should be more nimble than the bigger players. So this is like our chance to like really accelerate and get as close to them as possible in a short amount of.
I want to linger on this, and Jennifer, obviously chime in if you have thoughts too. But Avani, when you say this, to me, my immediate reaction is thinking about GEO or AEO or whatever, right? So that's fine, and that's analogous to the SEO of your fine. But then it's also you guys can be faster adopters of tools that will help you perform better in TikTok shops or a different channel because you're faster creative. It's also like site design. I want to open this as broad as you want, but like, what are the things that you're able to move faster than the incumbents on?
Definitely the AEO, GEO segment for sure. We're really investing in our, ability to show up in LLMs as an answer when someone is looking for a luxurious, like a great looking heel that's also comfortable, right? We want to show up as an answer in those. Along with the incumbents. So like, I think investing in that has been a big priority for us. And just like changing, collections are not showing up. So we're really investing in products because the LLM is going to give one answer. They're not going to be like, this is the bridal collection for X brand. Like the brand almost matters less. As like, that's why we're investing in like kind of the value proposition, like what makes this shoe the right answer when someone is searching for a specific occasion or type of wear or type of comfort. So that's where it's really exciting. And especially then second lane is like definitely on our website. How do we improve our conversion, right? We work so hard with the high CACs and like not having the enough brand visibility to get someone to our website. How can we make that journey as personalized to them as possible based on what they search and where we take them through the journey on our website? So investing in like site merchandising that's more personalized, like that promise of personalized journey is like becoming more and more real with some of the tools and the data we have. So we definitely want to lean into that. So those two pillars are kind of the main focus right now for us. And of course, the third channel being acquisition. How do we just get more efficient in our targeting, building trust online, so all that, like whatever we can do, whether it's like hours saved by using some of the AI tools for product shoot extensions, right? We're a small brand, like photo shoots are expensive. So now we have these tools where we can have gorgeous lifestyle imagery to compete with like some of the bigger players and stand out if someone is looking for our shoe. So all of those are like possibilities made
Let me
by
ask just
AI.
one. Just one quick follow-up, just on the tactics. and you don't have to like say this is the best software of all time, but like, can you share any of the tools that you're at least experimenting with on the personalization or on the photo shoot side, just so we can tease out for others who are kind of starting down this path?
Yeah. For like personalization, of course, there's Format that has like great like taxonomy in the back end that's helping us like scale our data and like be more visible to LLMs and help it with our personalized journey. So in talks with them about like what that means for Elizée. There's a few others that are kind of more under the radar. They're still in beta. So just I'm keeping an eye out on what's out there. Like as Jen said, we don't know exactly where everything's going to land, but at least being ahead of the curve and starting to talk to these players to see what's working, what's not, who's priced right. Like it's all the wild, wild west, but just keeping up with it. And then of course for the photo, like asset extension tools. There's Flock AI, there's Leica. Flock's more on the high-end luxury. They do a really good job of like getting all the details right, which is really like down to the stitching, which is really important when you're thinking about selling a $700 shoe. You can't have the stitching wrong because people will zoom in and, you know, you want to represent the product accurately. So that's where like the right AI tools come into play.
I just need the 993s from New Balance to be imaged right, and then I'm good. I can wear that at every conference when I pick my kids up, so we're good. All right, Jen, I want to turn to you because like we have this like fast growing brand, and then we have Olly, which is like could not be more established. Like, you know, I knew Olly years before I knew you, type of thing, right? It's like such an incredible business. But you mentioned you guys have the opportunity to grow that. What are you experimenting with? And given that you're part of like, you know, big company, I'm sure like the data security privacy is extraordinarily tight.
Absolutely.
Where are you able to like, is it more you're doing tools to enable your team internally? Are you able to use third parties? Like, how do you think about the world of tooling to go take advantage?
To kind of add on to what Avani said, I mean, I think really there's like really two big approaches for us. An advantage of being at a bigger company is you have a much bigger budget to buy tools and test tools. So that's great. But I think the personalization piece is going to be really fascinating because not only are you needing to personalize the experience from people that are coming in from LLMs who maybe are going straight to a product page without seeing anything contextual at all. There are still customers that are kind of shopping in that traditional type of funnel way. They're clicking on the homepage banner. They're going to a landing page. They're clicking on a product. They're checking out. I think it's really important to kind of balance those and really look right now, like what does your LLM traffic look like? If it's not like half of your business, I wouldn't go wild on that side of it. Like you still have to kind of cater to everyone. It has to be a both and. So I think that is key, is just making sure you're not doing AI to do AI. That is, I think, one of the hardest things because there's so much pressure, I think, from leadership teams to just be like, what are we doing with AI? You know, and they want an easy answer they can take back to the board. But honestly, we are doing the same things we've always been doing. I think in terms of enablement from AI, it's just making it easier and more efficient. And if you're changing your goals and your strategies and your KPIs because of AI, like that's probably not great. You should probably still have the same ones and just use AI as a tool. But from a tooling perspective, I think for us, you know, we've really, even the data that you get, like, so we're using Profound right now as probably our most critical AEO tool, and it's great. There are a couple others that we're using as well to sort of validate some of that data. The catch is that nobody knows where any of that data comes from. So you really, has to be a lot of trust in what your tool is. And there also has to be like a level of skepticism, and you need to validate. You cannot just believe, you know, this tool you have that might be pulling from like 100 different data sources and you have no idea what they are because they're all under NDA, which is true. So I think you have to be really skeptical, but you have to be kind of optimistic too and not afraid to test and try, but always validate.
Tell me, I actually want you to double click on the point of like, nobody knows what the data is. What is some of the data? Yeah, just explore that comment a little bit further if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. So we actually are working with Envive AI right now on a project to enrich our product catalog data, which is great. Very cool, very low resource, very easy. And so basically the tool, you know, you give them whatever your public feed is, and then they will go through it and make suggestions on enrichment, which is great because Google only accepts so many attributes and different types of attributes, but LLMs are going to be looking for more than that. So whatever's built into that traditional data feed is built for Google. It's not built for LLMs. So this is really exciting. It's very cool. I love it. It's great. They do measure results, but like it's run through a model. So, you know, they're kind of modeling the before and after of the data enrichment, and you
Mm.
kind of just have to trust it because it's like when Advantage Plus first launched, like you just kind of have to trust the system a little bit, but you still have to be like a little skeptical. And same with Profound. It's telling you you're the leader in this segment, and here are your competitors. You can believe that, and you can look at it as like probably directionally correct, but you just can't take one source as like the one source of truth. I just think we need to like spread our resources around, make sure we're validating, make sure we're not overreacting to one piece of data out of context, and also just making sure you're still focusing on the most important part of your business.
Avni's having some connection issues, so I'm going to just keep going down
Sure.
a couple
Yeah.
paths with you as she comes back. The one is you said something a couple minutes ago about you have the board telling the exec team, telling the
Yes.
managers or whatever, like, hey, what's our AI strategy? And people are doing something for the sake of doing it. Weird question. How do you advise if I'm in that position? How do
Mhm.
you advise me to advocate for don't just do something for the sake of doing it, but like keep our eyes on the prize? Like, what is the way that you can tell the board, like, guys, AI is not the solution in and of itself? Because like, yeah, how would you even advocate to do it, quote unquote, right?
It's very challenging because I think at the same time you have sort of these like, I'm not going to call them snake oil agencies, but I might, that are sort of coming out of the woodwork to attack that side of the business. And they really lead with a sense of fear of like, you're not there. Other people are there. You're behind. You're behind. And that is part of their selling strategy. So you have to kind of help them separate the selling strategy of the agencies from the reality of what your business is doing. And I've seen this shockingly a lot. But I think leadership teams have to lead with a sense of curiosity and like, what are we doing now? How is it going? What have we done? What do we want to do? And I think it's up to us, the people who are kind of more on, the street level, to bring them alongside and continually educate them. And sometimes that means saying the same thing like 10 times a day. The repetition will eventually get there, but we have to bring them alongside what the business is actually doing and what actually works, and be honest about what we can measure and what we can't measure. And I think there is, like we were talking about the Retail Club AI conference, which was amazing. Everybody came in there with their own set of data that told the story they wanted to tell. And that's what we do in this business anyway, honestly. Let's be transparent. But I think that you have to like make sure it's clear that nobody knows the answer to this.
Mhm.
This is not finished. This is not even halfway finished. Like, this is evolving daily, and we just have to kind of stay the course on what's important to us as a brand. What's important to us is like a social mission. What's important to us is like the relationship with our customers. Those are the things that don't change. So those are the things I feel like the repetition of just trying to bring people along is really the only way to do it.
Let me ask just one more question on this topic. Thank you. It's really helpful to hear, and the repetition, I could not agree with more. I want to think about compliance, part of your
Yep.
mandate, but also what you were saying of like, look, trust but verify these tools. Do you have any advice for people who are bringing on a new tool? Is it like, hey, set up a 3 or 4 month POC, do it paid, and like agree on metrics, or do your own dashboarding? Like, how should a brand? Not everybody has the resources, obviously, that Olly has, but like,
Yes.
what are the basics that somebody who's trying a new tool should think about?
Number one, ask for a pilot. That is my number one suggestion. Ask for a test.
Yeah.
Even if it's a paid test, ask
Yeah.
for a test. Don't commit. Get in there and look at it. We did this with our agentic chatbot that we have on site. Because we're a supplement company, we're highly regulated. So there's a lot of question and nervousness around like, what is a chatbot going to say to a customer who's like, will this cure my cancer? I mean, we have to be super, super careful.
Sure.
So I think to get over that hump, it was great because we work with Rep AI and we onboarded them for a test. We had the actual bot in hand for like 8 weeks before we ever turned it on, and really just trained it and tested it and let our regulatory team test it. Like, we let everyone test it. So then when we did go live, that sense of nervousness and like fear, we'd overcome that. So that's why we chose them. Honestly, we looked at probably 25 different
Sure.
agentic chatbots. The reason we chose them is because they were like, you want to test it? See if you can break it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go. So I think it's an ask that a lot of times people don't offer out of the gate when they're trying to sell to you, but it really gives you a sense of whether this is going to work for you or not. And like a real hands-on experience of like, how does this work? Is this reasonable for our team? Are we staffed enough to like really leverage this resource? Because sometimes you onboard a very expensive resource and you realize like, who's going to own this? We don't have anybody to own this. So it really gives you like more of a real life experience of what it would be like to have it, whether it's good or bad. But I also think when you're a tech company, if you are confident in your product, you're going to be like, yeah, break it. See if you can. That would be amazing. We would love it if you could break it. That's to me like a super vote of confidence.
I love that. All right, that's great framing. Thank you. All right, Avni, you're back. Sorry, you're on the hot seat now. Jen carried it for a while, but watch
I
out.
know. Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Um,
I was in, I could see you, but I don't know what happened. But thank you.
how did
Those were such great points. I wanted to like respond to a few. One thing I want to bring up, and Aaron, I will get to your question in a second. I want to get your thoughts, both your thoughts on is, do you think the percentage of traffic from LLM is underrated or like undercounted?
Underreported?
Underreported. Sorry, that's the right word. But because I was talking to someone from Similar Web, and like what he brought up was like a really good point. Whereas like, yes, we research and like AI gives us the answer, but we don't necessarily click from there directly to the website. We might go on our own and go to brand.com and then continue the journey there. But it is LLM assisted, but it's just not counted because the flow breaks. So I just wanted to like get your thoughts on like, do we think that's real? Like, so does that mean we are underreporting or underestimating kind of that traffic from LLM right now as brands?
Jen, I can give you anecdotal, but you've got probably much better data than I
I
do.
mean, I think all advertising works that way. There's so much fuzziness and there's so many different kinds of attribution models. It's only like you just pick the one that you want eventually. You're like, this is the one that's probably the best. I think it's going to be the same. I mean, we have so much advertising that we do in search that people shop on Amazon. Like that ad did not go there, but they go to Amazon. So I don't know. I think it's going to continue to change. I think that the reporting will get better too. I think there will be some attribution models that are specific to LLMs that maybe we just haven't really figured out yet. But I definitely think that's true because there's so many things that impact customer decision making that like we'll never be able to measure.
Fair.
Avni, for me, and I don't really have a strong enough opinion about the tech side of things, but definitely as a consumer or watching like my friends or how people, I still go to the website to go figure it out, but I do the research. Like we're planning a family vacation this summer and I was looking for hotels with connecting rooms so it could be with the kids. And it was like ChatGPT was way better than anything. And I like clicked the link and it was a terrible experience in the ChatGPT. And so I just like went directly to the site because it wasn't as like intuitive for me, right? Or it was like a more compressed kind of, window, modal, whatever it was.
Yeah.
On the technology side, it's something that we were experimenting with a tool. The reality is like there's so many fewer at bats on the tech side, and so like obviously the price, not for everything, but is generally higher, right? And so I think the place where I'm really reticent is, and actually, Jen, this is harkening back to the comment about SEO. Is when I ran my brand, we ranked first ahead of the dictionary for the word modify, which was the name of the brand, because I did so much long tail SEO for a watch company. It didn't make sense, but I was like, I can gamify this. Our page rank is high. Like I spent so much time on Moz trying to figure out how to do this, or, SEO Moz back in the day, whatever. I just want the content to be good. And I want it to be like real. And I think I'm still a big believer of like, if you create awesome, true content, like good things will happen. And if you just go try to gamify to get everywhere, that's actually a mistake because you're going to bring in the wrong audience, or they're not going to fully understand, or it's going to oversell. And so maybe we're too slow on this, candidly, but I'm a little bit reticent to just like go set up an AEO strategy where we're just everywhere. Like I want to be more precise with our funnel.
Well, content's really expensive to create. So I think if you're just out there creating content for bots, then that's a short-term solution only. Yeah. So, I mean, I think what we've been doing is creating some content, making sure it's appropriate for bots, and also making sure that humans are using it. We don't have a lot of resources. So if we're going to spend the time creating content, it has to check both those boxes for us.
I love it.
Yeah. And also AI knows what AI created. I think it's hip and smart enough to realize like, hey, someone used AI to create this content. I think like a human creating more content is still very valuable.
Avni, I want to go back to the pilot discussion, because like you obviously both for your brand, but you see a lot of companies, like when you think about testing and measurement of new tools or you're experimenting, what are some things that you think about, or how would you recommend a brand actually be thoughtful in going and exploring?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to start with your hypothesis, right? You need to be like, this tool needs to impact XYZ tools by ABC percentage or whatever the metric is. I think you need to be really clear on the benchmarks and your goal, and then measure to that. And obviously, like all the good sanitation when it comes to experimentation, not too many conflating factors or too many variables, right? All of those need to be in place. And yeah, let it run until you have stat sig or at least directional results, depending on your patience and appetite of like what you think is good enough. Sometimes for like a smaller website, right, like with less visitors, we would have to run it forever to really get stat sig. But sometimes directional is good enough if we want to really be work like agile and moving faster. But it definitely needs to impact whether it's hours saved, right? For some of the AI generative tools, we're looking at, okay, how many hours is it saving our designer or creative team, or it's like specific impact to conversion rate or CAC or AOVs. So I think all of those metrics are really important, and running the POC or pilot, as Jen said, is like key. All these startups are like dying to get use case like case studies. So if you have the leverage, like utilize it, like get a free pilot, and like if you can negotiate a case study in return, it's a win-win, right? You're saving money and your brand's getting out there. So I think there are definitely creative ways to like go about experimenting with all these tools right now.
I love it. Thank you. I want to linger a little bit on some of the things that you talked about right here, specifically like the hours saved. What do you think that we should be automating in e-commerce as much as possible? What do you think are the things that are like actually still need the human touch, for lack of a better term, or like it can't just be AI, but it's like AI with like a human editor? I'm curious how you're thinking about a brand a year from now. Like what is just like, oh, I can't wait. This will be off our plate and we will save a bunch of hours and it will just work, versus like, here's where taste is really going to matter. I won't hold you to the answer, by the way, but what's your like current perception of that, Avani?
Yeah, my current perception is like automating a lot of the campaign optimization, like anything that's super numbers heavy, where someone is using like analytics, like AI can do that better. So like campaign optimization is definitely one of them. And as I mentioned, some of like the photo shoot extensions of like, we've already done the photo shoots, but we need to like switch out the background for Valentine's Day or whatever it may be. Like all of those are hours saved. Like I really start with the workflow and like, what are we already doing that AI can do better? Like that, those are the pieces I try to insert AI in. And where humans are still very important is the taste piece, right? Like we're a luxury brand. So like what our brand stands for, like brand storytelling, that like a human still needs to make that judgment. Because AI can definitely amplify all the options, but like the taste piece, like a human still needs to make that judgment of like what we want the brand to stand for or storytell.
Jen, what are your thoughts?
Supply chain. Oh, everything should be automated in the supply chain. I think that's one of the hardest things to manage too, because there's so many touch points typically, from the manufacturing process to the warehousing to the inventory management. The inventory management, we should not be spending time on this. We should not be calculating how many units we sell in a week. We should be able to dump our marketing calendar into an AI and be like, here's last year's sales. Here are where all of our marketing peaks are this year. You tell me, you forecast this for me. So I think that one it's something that on the e-com side, you spend so much time on and almost never get it right anyway. So it just feels like that's something easy to take out of the equation. Definitely agree with Avani. You know, when it comes to merchandising, when it comes to look and feel, there are certain things that a human has got to do. I mean, that has to really understand it and has to really be able to have the empathy with the customer and the customer perspective. And AI is not going to have your customer's perspective, especially if you're working with like 8 to 10 different personas of customers that shop with you. So I think that at the end of the day, like it needs to be reviewed. I think any content needs to be reviewed by a human. You can start with AI, you can edit that, but we're not making AI slop here. We're not just going to keep hitting the button like we're playing a slot machine. So I think those are the easy things. Flows, I think, should be super easy. You know, project managers' lives should be easier. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a science, but it is also an art.
Absolutely.
Jen, you kind of mentioned the persona side. I'm curious, do you think you guys should be actually like stepping back and redoing personas and like analyzing the data in a different way than you ever have and like reconsider that? Or is that one of those things which is like, look, I know my customer, we should just run down the path?
I think that's a controversial question. I can give you my personal opinion on that. And that is that your customers are constantly changing. I mean, I remember when I was working with a brand a couple years ago, and they were talking about like millennials. And to them, millennials meant people in their like 20s. And I was like, guys, millennials are in their mid 30s now. Like they are not the same. Like it is not an age. It moves, it evolves. So I think with us, at Olly, we started out, millennial women were our customer. Millennial women are getting older and they are developing new challenges. They are hitting perimenopause. They are doing these things that like nobody was thinking about 5 years ago when they were just like, I just like beauty gummies, So it's really like we have to evolve along with those personas, because if we not, we're just like selling to a customer group that doesn't exist. So for us, it's like, just look at the behaviors. Just look at the behaviors. They tell you everything that you need to know. I don't know that I necessarily believe in like hard and fast personas anymore, because it's just a constant flux state where people are evolving, people are changing, health needs are changing. You look at like Gen X I'm Gen X, I spend a lot of money on supplements. Gen Z does not. But how much time are we spending marketing to Gen Z? How much time are we spending marketing to Gen X? And is our money in the right place?
Well, I also think like it's not just the humans are changing, like the research is changing and the understanding, the delivery mechanisms are changing, right? Like you keep seeing all these different companies popping up. Avani, I'm curious for you, in terms of personas or customer research, like how are you guys doing that? Again, you're at an earlier stage of a business, but you've seen it across multiple stages.
Yeah. So we're in an earlier stage. So we got to we try to really understand our customer because we're new to them and they're new to us. So the good thing is with us, a lot of our customers like to call in because, right, we're not as well known a brand and they're about to drop $700 on a D2C shoe brand that they haven't seen in Nordstrom. So they like to sometimes call us, be like, are you guys real? Is this a scam? So we get a lot of first party data and feedback directly from them. So which has been really great for us to inform our product pages. What can we make easier when someone is having those questions so they don't have to call as much as possible. So we are lucky in that we get people calling us, which obviously is like a resource usage, but we're trying to then turn it around to then optimize our product pages and our journeys as much as we can. And then any other feedback across socials or anywhere else, obviously emails and stuff. But I think our treasure has been those phone calls that, someone might see as oh, that's such a a resource usage. But that's our customer research. We're getting impromptu customer feedback.
I love it. People calling in is such a blessing. When I started the brand in 2010, we wrote a handwritten note with every order. And I would include a business card, which had at first my phone number and then had a Google Voice number from San Diego, which wasn't where I was from, but it felt cool. And then we started sending an email to everybody, how'd you hear about us? And my cell was in the footer. And the idea was make it very, very easy for people to complain or to ask questions so that we could learn, so we can make the product better. I think that is missed. Literally right before this call, we have a awesome brand that's been working with us. They're in a 4-month POC. We just finished month 1. And there's a disconnect where we are relative to, we've crushed it. She doesn't feel that way at all. And our opinion does not matter. And so it was she was so generous. She spent 30 minutes with me, with DB, my co-founder, co-CEO, and then with our director of strategy, just help us understand what your best ever experience would be. And we're already changing a couple of things just from one call. I think brands undervalue just literally getting people talking. And so I'm really grateful you brought that up. Okay, we got about 10-ish minutes. There are a couple more topics I want to just quickly run through if that's okay. Jen, you kind of just talked about the logistics and the supply chain side of things. Are there any tools that you're experimenting with there? Is this hey, we're going to go do a NetSuite rip and replace and a good day? We're paying attention to Crystal for Omnichannel, or is it the older line tools are getting better with AI? How do you think about that space?
I think a lot of companies would probably say, and a lot of brands would probably say yeah, we're doing this and everything's all synchronized. It's not. We're Unilever-owned, so we have a lot of disparate systems. We have D365 and we have our warehouse's operating system and we have Shopify. And I think while everything integrates, it's never going to be perfect. And honestly, I don't believe that you can get one system that does every single thing well. I really do not believe that. But I do believe the integrations are getting better over time. And we're seeing, I do think on the logistics and supply chain side, they are moving much slower than the rest of the industry. Like, you'll get advertising, you look at reporting. I mean, so much of this other stuff that's like much more front end has come a long way really fast. When you go in and you look at a warehouse's order system, you're like, what year is this? Like, you have dot matrix printers. Like, what is this? So I think the innovation seems to be a little slower on that side from what I have seen.
It is extraordinarily satisfying to pull off the tabs on the
It is
printout
just
with that matrix. So it's just like,
Yeah, oh, it is.
mm,
It's beautiful. But it is slower. And I think that whole industry is very ripe for innovation right now. So if some startup wants to kind of come along and try to figure out how to unite all of those things and make it so that if I cancel an order in Shopify, it cancels it in all the places downstream, man, that'd be so cool. But right now, I think a lot of us think that's the case, but it really is not.
I'll try to answer you to some. I think there's some interesting ones playing in the space.
Awesome.
I love it. All right. Avni, I wanna go over a little bit to the omni-channel side. Jen, we'll definitely come back to you on this. Like, Olly is where candidly I think almost every company should be, or like should want to be, which is like healthy D2C. And even if it's smaller, it's still like it's healthy and it's growing. Zon, wholesale, like you guys are quote unquote everywhere, right? You meet your customer where they're at. Avni, how do you think about building your brand towards omni-channel? Is that like something on day one we're thinking about, or is it like, hey, we're going to be D2C and D2C forever? What is kind of, if you were to give a higher level look at strategy?
Yeah, we're definitely moving towards omni-channel. Now that we have like a presence online, I think in order to continue to accelerate the trust with our customers, it will be helpful to have like physical presence, right? To have
Sure.
that stamp of approval from even like a Nordstrom or other elite marketplaces like Revolve, where something like this price point and this type of brand could live. So we are starting those conversations because I think it just helps accelerate that trust. Even obviously we'll have better margins on our own brand.com, but I think it does help with the overall sales conversion flow and journey. So that's definitely on deck, and conversations are moving along.
Okay. Jen, do you have any words to the wise? Because one of the things you said earlier, which actually gave me comfort, was you're like, look, we know this is happening, and then somebody will go buy on Amazon, and like,
Mhm.
no, my interpretation was we're going to choose the least bad, like attribution model because none of them are really going to do everything, and
Yeah.
so you'll choose one, you'll stick with it. Do you have any advice for like the operators who are finding fast growing brands, as how they should think about omni-channel or attribution, or like kind of rising tide lifts all boats? Is it brand first? I'm going very vague here because I want to
Yeah.
create as much space as possible for you to give us advice.
Two things. I think one, your internal structure kind of has to be built around the idea that all boats rise. So if you've got multi-channel owners within your business, the last thing you want is to pit them against each other and make it so that like, oh, if the advertising flips to Amazon, that means D2C is down. And
Mm.
now that creates this environment of like, you took my ads, even if that was a more efficient move for ad spend. So I think that in leadership has to be super clear that we're all here doing the same thing and that we're here for the customer. We're not here for the channel. We are very, very lucky to have that at Olly, to where it truly is an environment where like, it's not like every channel owner is like, this is your forecast. And if you don't meet it, you are not at standards. But it really has to be kind of like a way you look at the whole business, and it has to be holistic if you're going to grow and become an omni-channel business. So I think that's kind of like a top-down piece that's really important. The other piece for us that is really hard, and it's hard for any CPG that does D2C, it's almost impossible to connect the dots on your customer. Where do they shop? What channels are they in? Walmart is never going to give you that data. Target's never going to give you that data. And the way we have attacked it is by utilizing loyalty and really just trying to sell our loyalty program into customers that are in store. There's not a great way to do that. It's very expensive. You have to do sampling. You have to do QR codes. It's really, really challenging. But at the same time, at least you can get directionally a place where you kind of understand what customers are doing. Even if it's just a sliver of your customers, you can understand like who prefers to shop at Walmart. What Walmart do they shop at? Okay, that's good to know. Oh, maybe they shop at Walmart, but then Amazon's their backup. Good to know. Then it helps us kind of craft our communications to them, our emails, our SMS, to make it very personalized around their actual shopping preferences and not what we want them to do. I think there's always a need and a drive somewhere in the business to try to make customers buy what we want them to buy and do what we want them to do. We have to let them do what they do and then support that part of it. And if that part's not profitable, then we need to work about making it more profitable. So I think it's very challenging. It's quite an endeavor. It takes a lot of people at the table to make a big effort like that happen. But if you can get out ahead of that much earlier in the evolution of your business, I think you're going to be so much better off. Like if you're
I love
small
this.
and you're moving into stores, start loyalty now, start with receipt scanning now, start talking to your customers about it now. Don't wait until you're huge and then you're like, wow, we have all these customers we have to go try to find. Let's get started, I guess. But I would just say get out ahead of it as soon as
Avni, any thoughts on the loyalty side? Because Jen, that was actually the last topic I wanted to go into. So Avni, I want to
yeah.
bring it to you as you're thinking about building loyalty or building customer understanding besides like obviously the phone calls. Is there anything that you're building today or that you're anticipating building?
Yeah, loyalty is definitely top of mind. We have been obviously focused on acquisition, but the flip side is everyone we're acquiring, we want to keep. So we are looking into loyalty programs right now. Obviously, our retention or the way we communicate, our email and SMS has been really strong. I think given the price point and how much people refresh their shoes, it's not as frequent of a purchase. So how do you kind of bring everyone along for the new collection or a new occasion? So I think email is super important to us and talking to the customer about anything fresh or new trends. So that's another piece where our emails are not just sales, like we're giving out trend guides and other value add to the customer to really like build that relationship. Like, hey, we're not just here to sell you more shoes. We want to keep you trendy and with the, what's the latest fashion. And then if you want to buy something that's makes sense at whatever time it makes sense to you, we are here. So I think email is definitely one of them. And we're thinking through what else motivates the customer because it's a luxury price point and our customer is like high income earning, like percentage offs or discounts or even like $10 or $15 off your birthday month. It has not worked. It's not so incentivizing. So like what is actually value add for this sort of customer that's going to keep them engaged with the brand? That's how we're thinking about loyalty and being very strategic with it.
Thank you. I think if you ever need a guest author for a trend guide, it will be
Yes.
me and it will say wear free startups, New
We love
Balance,
it.
basketball shorts. It's like lean into being a teenager again, no
I think
matter
you dress the
what.
same as my 19-year-old son.
Yeah, no matter what generation you're in, right, Jen? Thank you. Tell my son what's up. He
That's
sounds
beautiful.
very cool.
Timeless.
Basketball
They
shorts.
say timeless.
Timeless. That's right. Timeless. Elegant. Timeless elegance. That's what I bring to this conversation with the two of you. Jen, you said something that I hadn't heard, but I absolutely love it, which is here for the customer, not for the channel.
Mm-hmm.
You also said you've been doing loyalty for about a year and a half. I kind of want to wrap the discussion around here.
Yeah.
What are the things that have worked well for you? Are there any tools that you're experimenting with now? Like same thing, like what are some of the lessons learned as you kind of built out this program?
Oh gosh. I think I'm going to use this as an example because I think it's something anybody selling on TikTok Shop has faced. TikTok Shop's really challenging. It's very, that customer has not opted into your marketing. You're not even the merchant of record. TikTok Shop's a merchant of record in those scenarios. It's very hard to have that relationship with that customer. It's a very expensive sale. Like, let's not lie. Selling something on TikTok Shop is extremely expensive. And the acquisition opportunities are great, but at the same time, the LTVs you're working with there are much, much smaller, honestly. So I think it's a really challenging channel. One of the things that we have found that really, really works for us in kind of driving retention and then also kind of bringing those customers into the brand has been direct mail. So love direct mail. It's my favorite thing. And I mean, at this point in this world, you can trigger direct mail based off anything you could trigger an email or SMS on. Also, I do compliance. There are no laws around direct mail. You can send direct mail to anybody you want to, and it does not matter. So being able to kind of grab those orders as they roll into Shopify and trigger that direct mail, welcoming a TikTok Shop customer to the brand and, just being like, hey, we're so glad you're here. We're glad you bought this thing. And here's a promo code if you want to start a subscription with us, and kind of trying to move those customers off of TikTok Shop and into the brand has been hugely successful for us. And we work with Letter Labs. They make these beautiful, like handwritten looking postcards, and they just feel super hyper personalized. And Gen Z loves direct mail, and that's who's coming to you from TikTok Shop. They feel like this is really special. Someone wrote this to me. They don't have like bad vibes off of the mailbox like we do when we used to get bills and terrible news in the mail. Like they love mail. So I think it's like demographically and channel wise, it's been one of the best moves we've made in terms of retention. It's really the only way you can get at that customer and try to keep them and try to drive that over time. But
I love
I think that's the best example I could give.
It's a really cool tactic. The other curiosity I have on this is like there's something to the unboxing experience where you mentioned QR codes. There could be other pieces as well.
Yep.
Are you able to play around in that? Like, have you guys revised your packaging with a kind of hint towards like driving up loyalty or engagement?
Getting there. I think the challenge there is that those are already D2C customers that we already know. And we are really good at retaining our D2C customers. Luckily, supplements, people generally take the same supplements over time. They don't jump around every month to something different. So I think from a D2C perspective, it's very stable. The hard part is getting at those other people. It's like, how do you get to the customers that don't know your loyalty program exists? You can do in-store advertising. You can do in-store sampling. One of the things we're going to do later this year is sampling inserts in like buy now, pick up at store, like at Target or wherever, to try to like get at those customers that you know are buying your product, but they don't really know that your brand wants them. You don't want to absorb them. You want to bring them into your brand.
Sure.
That's for us, that has been one of the hardest pieces. So there's a lot of tactics you can use. We're testing through them right now to figure out what works best and what's most efficient from a spend perspective. But it is really challenging.
This is great. All right, we have a couple minutes left. I want to wrap up. I want to, first of all, thank you. This was awesome. I took a bunch of notes. Like, this was a really joyful conversation. Jen, your son sounds wonderful. So like, if, you know,
You guys can share clothes, I think.
yeah, we could swap clothes. This is exciting. I feel like I got some value out of this, if nothing else. I do want to wrap with kind of, first of all, like, where can folks find you? And second of all, you've given a lot of great tips, but if there's anything else that you want to share, whether it's like double clicking on something, or something new, please. Jen, I'll start with you, and then Avani, I'd love to wrap with you. So Jen, where can folks find you, or Olly? Everywhere. And
you can find Olly everywhere. You can find Olly at the first end cap at Target. When you walk in, turn right. There we are, always. Olly.com. We're there. We're on Amazon. We're Walmart.com, Target.com. I mean, almost anywhere. At the airport, you know.
I love it.
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, those places.
Am I going to find you in a boxing ring again soon, by the way? Or is that a one and done boxing match?
I don't know. We'll see. At first, I was like, I'm never going to do this again. I'm glad I did it. And now I'm like, I don't know. I might do it again. We'll see.
I love it.
We shall see.
You crushed it.
Avani, when are you boxing? Where can folks find you? And any last words?
Catalyst event, Avani. Let's do it.
Yes, yes, that's a great idea. I am not boxing, but I volunteered to be a ring girl next year. So Jennifer, if you're going out again, I'll be like the girl that says round 1, round 2. Or something. But you crushed it. You crushed it. I was like, how fun is this industry? We literally are boxing each other in a ring. Like, I don't know if that's happening anywhere else. Like, this industry is amazing. But yeah, you can find me, Avani Oswal, spelled Avani, on LinkedIn. I'm here. If anyone wants to join Catalyst, just DM me on LinkedIn. Yeah, and in terms of the shoes, it's elizee.com, ELIZEE.com. We're online if someone wants an awesome pair of comfortable Italian heels. But yeah, I would love to have more of you guys join Catalyst. Of course, you guys have been there, but the more, the merrier.
Well, thank you both. This was really joyful. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been fun.
Hi, I'm Aaron Schwartz, co-founder and co-CEO of Orita.ai. We build AI customer segmentation for some of Klaviyo's biggest brands, like Oriana, Spanx, Caraway, Third Love, True Classic, Rem Beauty, and on and on. Brands come to us to help find untapped revenue, improve their click rate, drive away mean bots, and a bunch more. You can learn more or get a free customer engagement audit at Orita.ai.